going on? It is the Just Bring It podcast, episode number 6. It's just me alone right now, and thank you for listening in. And of course, we got plenty of things to talk about. First and foremost, the last time we recorded an episode like this is actually in the MDIS studios, but right now it's in the Infinite Studios, brought to you by Infinite Studios, and it's just me by myself on Mic Check Productions. Head on over to youtube.com/MicCheckProductions for more of these podcasts about pro wrestling. A lot of things have happened. A lot of incident has happened since the last time we record a wrestling podcast. Shout out to my partners, Aman and Ryan, who is not here. It's just gonna be me going forward right now. So I would like to talk about what is happening on the wrestling world. We'll get into AEW, we'll get into New Japan, WWE, WrestleMania. Congratulations to WWE for doing WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2 despite all this pandemic. And as you can see, that everyone is being encouraged to stay at home, stay safe. And over here in Singapore, for those of you internationally listening in, we have been instructed by to stay at home. It's called the circuit breaker, where everybody is advised to stay at home. It's a semi-lockdown, not an entirely lockdown. We can only go out for essentials, and there are some people, only some, majority, maybe around 5% of the country is required to not work from home. But the rest of you who is listening in, working from home and whatnots, I would like to say, take this time and rest. And for me personally, I've been watching a lot of wrestling. But yeah, it's me, Hanafi. I'm hanging out here with you. I just want to let you know before we go on, including the segments before, there will be a 15-minute segment for each. And our first segment will be this one right here. I want to talk about Dark Side of the Ring, the new documentary on Vice TV. You can go check it out on YouTube, or if you have HBO, you can check it out here as well. It's about an incident of all these wrestling episodes. I think I've been watching all of it. I watched the one with the Montreal Screwjob. I watched the one with New Jack. It's covering all of pro wrestling, narrated by Chris Jericho, by the way, of AEW. And of course it is a lot of tragedies. I think the following week, next week, will be based on Jimmy Snuka's murder case, and a lot of episodes that they haven't covered yet. The Owen Hart death. The I think one of them is being the Bruiser Brody murder. A lot of, if you're a hardcore pro wrestling fan, you will enjoy it. Yeah, just like our podcast here on the Smark podcast, I want to talk about that documentary first and foremost into these 15 minutes. So, they were covering Brawl for All. I'm not too sure. The Attitude Era guys will remember more about this. A Brawl for All, it is a boxing match, no rules, not predetermined, and the winner will get a push. And we'll have a program with Stone Cold Steve Austin, which is the WWE champion and the top stars of the Attitude Era. And so what happened was, you got to watch the documentary full and foremost. But what's very interesting about the documentary is that they have circulated the whole campaign. It's called Brawl for All. It's a bunch of mid-card wrestlers. So the idea came from Vince Russo. Vince Russo, of course, is a top writer in the WWE Attitude Era. And, of course, it is well documented that Vince Russo, sometimes he could be a pain in the ass, and sometimes his ideas are good. I'm not going to say all his ideas are bad, like what Jim Cornette says, but, of course, it is very bad in this term around, because it is the Brawl for All, and it is what it is, and the idea of it is they want to make new stars of the mid-card level. They have guys like Godfather in there, they have guys like Hardcore Holly, Bradshaw, Bud Gunn, and one of them being Dr. Death Steve Williams, which is Jim Ross signed him. He's being labeled as Jim Ross boy. Nothing trouble. It's just because Jim Ross liked him so much, and Jim Ross signed him. So what happened is that because this is not predetermined, this is not scripted or whatever you want to call it. It's not fake, definitely. So Bart Gunn as the underdog winner, and then so when Bart Gunn wins it, they got nothing programmed for him because Bart Gunn is somewhat around the low card, not even the mid card, and he won that tournament. So he has proved to the locker room that he's the toughest son of a bitch in the WWE dressing room. And now what? You can't just get him to brawl with Stone Cold because top stars level will not gain anything from it. And I'm not too sure whether guys like Undertaker, guys like Austin, Shawn Michaels, Mankind, The Rock would have want to work in a shoot match. So there's a lot of problems there. You gotta watch it. But what I find interesting is that it was the idea of Vince Russo, and he fucking single-handedly fucking hates Bradshaw. So he hates Bradshaw, and Bradshaw apparently said to him, if professional wrestling is real, I would have knocked out everybody. And that didn't sit well with Vince Russo. Now the problem is that Jim Cornette have with Vince Russo is that how sick can you be to create a campaign just because you don't like the guy to get knocked out? So apparently Bradshaw got knocked out in a Brawl for All by Bart Gunn in the final. So yeah, there you go. So that's the Brawl for All. Again, I'm gonna advise you to watch it, but it's the dark side of the ring. It is a dark side of professional wrestling that you will get to encounter. Just search Dark Side of the Ring, narrated by Y2J Chris Jericho. Yes, so correct. So we got 7 minutes on now, and we have a lot of things to talk about. Let's talk about WrestleMania. Let's talk about AEW's. How is AEW doing with all this pandemic? And let's talk about Jon Moxley as well as the new heavyweight champion of AEW. Let's talk about Matt Hardy signing with AEW Elite Wrestling. And I have to say, I have to give a shout out to Singapore Pro Wrestling as well. I know this is a bit late, but I went for the No Guts, No Glory with my two partners somewhat a month ago, and it was a rocking show. Congratulations to the Butcherman who hooked us up with the tickets. I want to give a big shout out to him as well. I want to give a big shout out to a lot of wrestlers that is participating in No Guts, No Glory as well. I think SPW deservedly so deserve to be put on the map. We'll continue this after the short break, but in the meantime, yes, I would like to give my opinion and all this. Hopefully by next week we will have a rerunning episodes of the Smark podcast. I would like to thank some of the editors, guys like Hamza, you know who you are, and guys like Ryan and Aman who given their input as well. And I have to say that because of this pandemic, I will not be seeing them around that much. Mainly because we don't get together in campus anymore, and I don't think I'll be seeing them that much because there's a lot of things going on with me in terms of production that I'm not allowed to talk about, that I'm not allowed to give information after the pandemic is all over. It's gonna be official on our Instagram page, but there's a lot of things going about right now, and I'm hoping that I can get the news out because I think it's not cool for me to just do this podcast all by myself because my two presenters are always with me. But it will be a cool idea that for now I think if it's really good, right? And I would like to be doing them via phone or via live or Zoom or conference and whatnot. So So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of things going on. I will announce it on our podcast here on the Smark podcast. But in the meantime, I'm gonna be taking over on the wrestling episodes side of things. All right. So right after this, we are going to talk about WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2, all the matches, what's wrong with it, what's good with it, and be right back with this. So hang on to all this. Hang on to the Smark podcast. Welcome back to the show. This is the Smark podcast with me, Hanafi, and for those of you who is listening in, thank you so much. Mike Check Productions on YouTube. This is episode 6, and just like my first segment earlier on just now, I want to talk about something from the dark side of the ring that I've just watched. So apparently this episode is about the Brawl for All. For those of you who don't know what the Brawl for All is the stupidest idea from Vince Russo itself. It's where pitting all the wrestlers shooting. And then in wrestling slang, shooting is called without script, just UFC, basically, in our current culture of the world. So the WWE, in my point of view, has done a lot of great things in its history and a lot of dumb things in its history as well. Okay, so one of the dumbest, most idiotic things that I've ever seen in my lifetime, watching Singapore Cable Vision on SCV back then, it was the Brawl for All. So, like I mentioned before, it's a shoot fight tournament held with wrestlers on the rosters, right? So Brawl for All had confusing rules. Apparently, they got like sloppy fights and implications that affected those who competed for the rest of their career. It bored fans and viewers to death who pay to see wrestling. Like, you tune in Monday Night Raw, you want to see the entertainment, right? You want to see, you know it's scripted, you know it's predetermined, it's not fake, but apparently Vince Russo decided to go down this road because he was appointed head writer. And so here is the rundown. Once I said that, hardcore wrestling fans should know where we're going with this, right? So here's a rundown of the travesty that, in my view, was the Brawl for All, which this one took somewhere in 1 month of 1998, 99 maybe. One of the competitors, Dan Severn, he's a former mixed. Wait, how do you pronounce it? Like Dan Severn or something like that? Then I call it Dan Severn because he looks like this massive jack UFC fighter. He has legitimate mixed martial arts. So and he's a legend with the company. So the Brawl for All tournament was strictly voluntary for any wrestlers, first of all, and at the time, the WWE's locker room, they had legitimate mixed martial arts wrestlers. One of them being Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock, of course, is who started UFC. I don't want to say he started UFC, but in the 90s he was the Conor McGregor of the rest of the UFC. But he was not allowed to participate. The other one was Dan Severn. It's called the Beast. Who participated in the first round, and he won and then pulled out, citing that he had nothing to prove. Because I think the first fight was so unevenly matched that he destroyed his opponent. So the reality was WWE needed one more guy to fill in the tournament. And apparently they asked Severn to join after initially not allowing him to participate. So that one's a major salute to the WWE of being what a clusterfuck this is. Sorry, Jim Cornette, I have to commend you for that. This one's a head scratcher among many in the tournament. Secondly, it's the injuries. For an event that the fans don't care about, I mean, at least for me, and I'm pretty sure some of my secondary school mates didn't care shit about this thing, a number of guys got hurt. And in fact, some were injured to the point that they were never able to perform at the same level. Take Road Warrior Hawk. He drew with Dross in the fight in his opening round matchup, but Dross advanced to the tournament because Hawk was legitimately injured. Alright, and then there's another one, Steve Blackman. He won his opening round match with Mark Merrow, but also withdrew from the tournament due to injury. Savio Vega aggravated an old arm injury, and was never the same. After the tournament, Vega stopped working for the WWE. And then the Godfather succumbed to an injury as well during the tournament. And then there was the X Factor, Dr. Death, Steve Williams. He's a favorite to win in the tournament. Messed up his hamstring in his fight with Bud Gunn, which he lost in the semifinals. So he was never the same either. And that's one of the problems that fucking Vince Russo. I know I'm supposed to be partial. I know in my first segment I did say Vince Russo had a lot of good ideas, but he has a lot of fucking bad ideas as well. And the reason I swear a lot in this segment is because I watched the documentary and I've written it down of what I wanted to say right now. So, and then there was another one, 3 out of 6 now, Death of a Star, we call it. Dr. Death, right? Steve Williams. Not only was he injured during the brawl, but he has effectively ended the push because he was receiving in the WWE by losing. So apparently the tournament, everyone's favorite because he has legit MMA. So he was bred to be a top star with the company, but Brawl for All destroyed that. Reason behind this is because not only as he has legitimate MMA, he was a huge star in Japan, which will have transitioned him nicely for him when he was pushed in the WWE. So he had the chance to be a huge star, but it was over in an instant after he lost the semi-finals, if I'm not mistaken, to Bud Gunn. Bud Gunn knocked him out while he aggravated an injury during the fight. So he was knockout cold, and he was never the same again. Nobody cares about him anymore. In fact, in the video game of WWF, Attitude is supposed to be Austin, him, and The Rock on the cover. There was a story that says that he was dropped because of that fight. He was never in the cover, and I'm not too sure whether he's a playable character or not. So that one's another one. Bud Gunn eventually won the Brawl for All tournament, but the reason behind it, the WWE failed to push him. So apparently, it was the winner of the whole tournament is supposed to do a program with Stone Cold Steve Austin for the WWE Championship. So Bud Gunn was a low-cut level guy, and they can't be the maximum he got from being the toughest son of a bitch by winning that tournament. He was not pushed. So WWE failed to push him, but he received pretty good fanfare from the tournament. But WWE mismanaged it as usual. So he was a bright spot of the tournament that did not provide many positives. He beat Hardcore Holly by decisions in the opening round, proving that he was capable of taking down tough guys. He then knocked out Steve Williams in the semifinals. He was a legitimate tough guy with amateur wrestling background. He would go on to knock out the Godfather, who is like in the streets, right? He was a bouncer in the club, so everybody was pitting him to be a favorite as well. But Bud Gunn knocked Godfather out, effectively putting him in the finale, where he brutally knocked out JBL, aka Bradshaw at the time, and claiming the prize. So he won a 75,000 grand prize. Then the dumbest thing came next. The WWE put Bud Gunn in the ring with Eric Ish, aka Butterbean, a professional boxer, at WrestleMania. Needless to say, Butterbean finished him off in 20 seconds, effectively killing the potential to make Bud Gunn a star. Unbelievable. And another lack of definitive victories, in my view. Not only was the fight sloppy, but guys didn't finish each other off because of the point system. This made the Brawl for All even more boring and confusing. I don't understand it at all. When I watched, I still remember I was eating my my Twisties when I watched the final. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, there were only 4 fights that ended in knockout. 3 of them involved Bud Gunn, who knocked out Steve Williams, Godfather, and Bradshaw, like I mentioned before. The other knockout saw Steve Williams earn a technical knockout at Quebecer Pierre. Yes, 4 out of 15 fights were finished. The other 11 were boring, confusing decision based on a stupid point system. More boring than a Triple H promo on every segment of Monday Night Raw. So it was very idiotic move. Like, if you watch the documentary, Bradshaw went over to Vince Russo and says that if professional wrestling is real, he would have knocked out everybody. So Jim Cornette, who he called Vince Russo shit stain in these days, he's very opinionated, but his take on the Brawl for All is brilliant. Brawl for All was a huge mistake that should have never happened. It derailed careers and failed to entertain. The wrestlers who competed in the tournament were Steve Blackman, Mark Merrow, Henry Godwin, Bradshaw, Brackus, Savio Vega, Dross, Hawk, Batgun, Hardcore Holly, Quebecer Pierre, Steve Williams, Godfather, Dan Seville, 8-Ball, and Tuco Scorpio. So it is the most ridiculous idea that WWE has ever written. And the end game of all this, they didn't make us star. They injured talents, potential future, Hall of Famers talent. And the reason, if you watch the documentary, it's 20 plus years, and Jim Cornette still have a lot of heat with Vince Russo. It's mainly because of this, and he was saying a lot of shit about Vince Russo, and I have to say, in somewhat, I agree. And looking at it right now, looking back when I was in secondary school watching this, it never really being promoted. I think if they do it now, they won't be calling it Brawl for All for sure. But then again, they can't do it now because UFC will sue the fuck out of them. Because this is basically UFC back in the day. You can use your knees, you can use your, you need to have legit amateur wrestling background to win this kind of tournament. And it's a 16-man tournament, or is it 8-man? I forgot what it was. But it is not a good idea. And unfortunately, guys like Darren Dross, who succumbed to injuries, who is now in a wheelchair, not because of that fight, but because of the injuries that happened to him with a match against D'Lo. But of course, the injury succumbs to the Brawl for All when he first got it. So it's really sad to see, because the documentary Dark Side of Wrestling, if you watch it, they did interview Dross, and Dross was in a wheelchair. And I remember Triple H giving a piece of his mind to the Tough Enough wrestlers in one of the episodes that says that Darren Dross could not feel the waist down. So that was a tribute to how much of a clusterfuck Vince Russo is. And I got to agree with Jim Cornette. He does not contribute anything to the professional wrestling. And if I were 20 years older back when I was watching all this, I think I would have snapped out of it. I think I would stop watching WWE, because all in all, it is the most stupidest idea that pro wrestling has ever produced. So hats off to that, by the way. So you gotta watch the documentary if you want to get an opinion. And of course, I'm not here to... This is a free promo entry. I'm not here to promote Vice TV on the documentary of the Dark Side of Wrestling, but it's just that it's a very nice documentary to watch. And also, Brian Gerwitz just tweeted about Edge's documentary on the road to comeback of to WrestleMania. So that will be very interesting to watch as well. I'm gonna watch that after I recorded all these podcasts. But nice segue into the WrestleMania we're gonna cover next. On WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2 together, we're going to highlight some of these matches. Trust me, I have my opinion because I'm a Smark. Create and discover podcast. Do you want to create or listen to new audio? How about both? Download Spreaker's free podcasting apps for desktops, iOS, and Androids. Spreaker Studio for desktop, Spreaker Studio for mobile, available for Windows and Mac, and available for iOS and Android. Record or live stream, integrate easily with Skype, and manage your episodes and drafts. Record on the go. Chat with your audience as you stream live. Access your stats on your smartphone or tablet, listens to podcasts wherever you are. Enjoy listening to a variety of original podcasts on Spreaker apps. Download it today. Spreaker podcast player available for iOS and Android. Subscribe podcast, mark your favorite episodes and share them. Available only on Mac, Windows, iOS and Android. There you go, a plug-in on the Smark podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the third segment here with me, Hanafi, hanging out here with you. Thank you so much. We are in the third segment, and I'm sorry about the Bret Hart music from WCW. I love that. But anyways, let's continue on the Smart Podcast episode number 6. We're gonna talk about a recent event that's happened, and it's very weird talking about it because due to all this pandemic that is going about, WrestleMania still goes on. Give us your thoughts on what's your opinion with WWE continuing WrestleMania, but I'm not here to talk about because it's a very difficult situation right now. That WWE Vince McMahon still goes on with WrestleMania despite all this pandemic. So what happened was WrestleMania is a big event, but apparently it's called WrestleMania PC, where they conduct WrestleMania in the Performance Center. So what happened is that they are going to be night 1 and night 2, pre-recorded, by the way. I just got it. Like when the event was happening, I thought it was live. I went to school for the last day of school. I spoke to one of my lecturers, Sean. He is a very pro wrestling savvy, and he told me it was pre-recorded. I didn't know that. So hats off to Sean. Thank you for bringing that up, because if it was live, it would be amazing, because there's no way they could have done that live. You know, with all, I watched some of it, not all matches that I watch in full, but I'm just gonna cover some of the matches that I watch in full. First of all, I want to cover Charlotte Flair is the new NXT champions after defeating Rhea Ripley, and I have to say I saw this coming due to AEW. NXT has not been winning the ratings. They only won 2 of them, and that 2 of them came from a program where AJ Styles and the OC was invading NXT, and I think it was NXT invading that program around November with Survivor Series going on. So they gotta apparently there's no stars to be made. I cannot believe it. I just said that about NXT. Ciampa says hi. Finn Balor says hi. So apparently now Charlotte Flair is gonna be at NXT. She's gonna help out as the NXT champion. So yeah, the match was good. Any Charlotte Flair match is always good to me. Not great, but good because of the athleticism that woman have. She's definitely, to me, she's not overachieved Ric Flair, her father, yet. I'm being very careful about this, but I have to say, her moveset, her skill set, different from Ric Flair. Ric Flair is maybe from a different culture, a profiling, styling kind of wrestler, but Charlotte Flair really is different from her father. So that was, I think, for me, a 4 out of 5. I would give it to 4 out of 5 because it was a good match. The storytelling, the choreography, it was amazing. It was amazing. All right, nothing bad to say about Rhea Ripley as well. She's gonna go places if being pushed well. I assuming she's gonna be on Raw or SmackDown. There's gonna be like maybe a super shake-up, whatever, right? And yeah, NXT new rising star, up and comer Rhea Ripley. So congrats to her. If there's one thing I would like to say to Rhea Ripley, that she made a good choice by accepting this defeat. She's gonna go places. She's gonna go kind of maybe to Raw. She good look, nice body, nice work, and of course NXT. There's no wrestler in NXT that, to me right now, is like below par performances wise. Nothing. All right, and then we move on to the Boneyard match, aka the Buried Alive match between two of the greats in the wrestling industry, AJ Styles and Undertaker. So apparently, I have my doubts on this, mainly because of complications of other stuff. When they announced it before the pandemic, I was thinking Undertaker is gonna beat Styles, chokeslam him, and then lights go off, and then the Stinger will come back and challenge Undertaker to next year's WrestleMania. I thought it's gonna be that. Wishful thinking, right? Boneyard match, Undertaker against AJ Styles, American Badass Undertaker against AJ Styles. I would put it 3 out of 5, and it has gone down to 1 out of 5 because there's leaked pictures about Taker and Styles in like with the OC laughing at the set. They apparently, I heard it somewhere on whatculture.com. They leaked out the pictures, and that give it away. I'm a super old school guy. I got nothing to say about these two because both of them are phenomenal. The match was alright, mostly brawling, not great, but mostly brawling, mostly like a lot of trash talking. AJ Styles, they tried to conclude this program with a lot of smack talk, so they can push it as like ooh ah whatever, you know. So nothing impressive as well. Good match, not a great one. And my favorite WWE wrestler, Randy Orton against Edge. As much as the build-up to this, when the crowd was available in the Royal Rumble, Edge came back. And I think we talked on episode 4 with Ryan and Aman. I predicted Randy's going to do a match with Edge. And he's going to RKO Edge's wife, Edge's friend, Matt Hardy. You know, I think they cannot get Christian. He's not supposed to take a bomb. So I think that's why they got Matt Hardy. And that sent Matt Hardy to AEW. Thank you very much, says Matt. I don't know about this match, man. It was apparently, some fun facts, it was the second longest WrestleMania match. It went for 36 minutes. Fucking goddamn hell. 36 minutes for a wrestling match. They brawled all over the Performance Center. I give this match 2 out of 5, mainly because the referee it's a last man standing match, by the way. The referee count was boring. They try hard, Edge and Orton. They try very, very hard, but then in came the spot where they did at the gym, where Randy tries to hang Edge. And 2 weeks ago, we just, Dark Side of the Ring just present the Chris Benoit murders. Too ironic, isn't it? Yeah, so there you go. Another tribute. And some reason, I felt like Vince Russo was behind this match. It's not true, but it felt like a Vince Russo match. What else? Oh. The World Heavyweight Universal title. Goldberg against Braun Strowman. So it's supposed to be Goldberg and Roman Reigns. So assuming Roman Reigns is in this match, they are going to spear each other to death until they have a broken shoulder. So, no, I'm just kidding. So, Goldberg has to drop the title. And his contract doesn't state that after today that he's going to do a title match. And apparently he have heat. Here's what WrestleZone has reported. Goldberg has big heat with the WWE office. It could have been the last time they see Goldberg. If reports from WrestleZones are accurate, they suggest that the former champion may have backstage heat in WWE stemming from behind-the-scenes dealings with Vince and his former opponent, which is Bray Wyatt, also known as The Fiend. So, the main reason was that he picked up a surprise win over a supposedly unstoppable character in Bray Wyatt. In fact, the match lasted only a matter of minutes, and Sloppy Jackhammer did Wyatt in before he disappeared and went on to face John Cena in in the shittiest of WrestleMania match. I don't even know I want to cover that match. For fuck's sake, it felt like that took like 18 minutes of my life. Fucking my god, Cena. Goldberg, Braun Strowman, I give it 0.5 out of 5. It was another clusterfuck, a lazy match. And, I'm not criticizing Goldberg at all. He's very limited. He's a great wrestler, for sure. He's one of the best. One of the good ones. Understand the business, psychology, and stuff like that. So, yeah. And the last one... but going back to Braun and Goldberg, I don't think Braun Strowman will make a good champion. I think it's too late. But we'll see how they're going to push this guy. He's not supposed to be the champion. Assuming he's now going to do a program with Bray. They're going to give the title back to Bray because Cena's gone and Goldberg's gone. So the only top stars on SmackDown is Braun and Bray Wyatt. Unless Undertaker came back, which I don't think it will happen anymore. So, and Drew McIntyre, probably the best match of the night. Drew McIntyre beating Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship, but I have a huge problem with this. Brock, if he invests in you, he will put on a great showing with you. And that's for Brock Lesnar. I still think Brock's match with AJ Styles is the best that the company has got to offer per the Attitude Era. But this one may be a top second. I'll give this 4.8 out of 5 because the only things missing is the fans, because the fans gonna pop for Drew. But to me, I would have dragged this over to SummerSlam or maybe Survivor Series or maybe when the pandemic is over, because we need that pop from the crowd. And it's so lame, like Drew McIntyre just putting up the WWE Championship on air by winning it and saying nothing. So it will be very interesting to see. That's WrestleMania for you. Drew McIntyre beating Brock Lesnar. I don't know whether this will drew money or this will drew ratings, but he has to compete now. And apparently the next night on Monday Night Raw, he competes against the Big Show and he finishes off Big Show. I'm assuming they're going to go with that monster kind of baby face like a Kevin Nash or Diesel program. I don't know what's in store for him yet. If I know, I will. But he has another one to compete with. And I'm talking about AEW World Heavyweight Champion Jon Moxley. We're going to talk about Jon Moxley next here on the Smark podcast. But head on over to pwmania.com if you want to check out the results of WrestleMania. I think this is WrestleMania 36. Night 1, Night 2. And of course, we're gonna upload this on youtube.com/MikeCheckProductions. Give us your thoughts. Give us some comments. Whether I'm wrong, fight me, against me on the comments. Please argue with me so maybe we can talk about it in the next episode of our podcast. So, yeah. So give us your thoughts on that. And I'll be back with AEW champion Jon Moxley. We're gonna talk about AEW next here on the Smark Podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to the Smark Podcast. It's me, Hanafi. We're gonna stroll on very, very quickly because it is a subject that I cannot wait to talk about. Now, with that as in May, before we get started, I would like to say that this event actually happens around like 2 months ago. All Elite Wrestling has crowned the new World Heavyweight Champion. And Jon Moxley, to all WWE fans, also known as Dean Ambrose, to all FCW fans, aka Dean Ambrose, and FCW fans, also known as Dean Ambrose. So, Jon Moxley has been crowned the new World Heavyweight Champion. And I chat with my two buddies. I chat with a lot of the wrestling, hardcore pro wrestling fans. Do you think they're good business? Some of SPW talent as well. We chat wrestling with them as well privately, of course. I'm not gonna name who is it. And they have asked me about what do they think? What do I think about Jon Moxley being the AEW champion? And for me, it's very, very smart business for sure. AEW is a growing company. There is a reason why they book Chris Jericho as the first ever AEW World Heavyweight Champion, because the champion in pro wrestling terms, they need to be the face of wrestling, right? They need to be someone recognized, someone very popular, and someone that could go marketability wise, wrestling wise, the face of the company, And I've been asked before. I thought AEW is like this company that is pushing for young stars, but you guys have to remember, it's not been only a year that AEW is around. You can't start with young stars being the champion. So the reason that's why they went with Chris Jericho and now Jon Moxley, because when Jon Moxley debuted at All Elite Wrestling, it was the biggest single pop that I have ever heard in 2019. It only makes sense to me that Jon Moxley is the next champion. If it's not him, it's Cody. It's gotta be the two. I actually thought it's gonna be Chris Jericho all the way throughout 2020 as well, because I actually thought that they're gonna make the title prestigious, and when Jericho drops it, it's gonna mean something. But I think they drop it. Jericho have to drop the title way earlier, because Jericho needs to go on tour with Fozzy, and they need somebody to carry the torch. They need somebody to run with the football, as Hulk Hogan was said. So Jon Moxley, I think he's the perfect guy to carry it. Cody Rhodes, he's mainly well known in the wrestling business. He's not mainly well known in general. He's not like the Roman Reigns, the AJ Styles. He's not in that category, but he's the excellence of execution for sure. But there are other names that you can't make them as a champion first. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not anti Cody Rhodes. I think he's one of the current active wrestlers. He's one of the top 5 wrestlers in the world right now. But I'm just saying that Jon Moxley draw bigger money when it comes to names. So that's why I think AEW go with Jon Moxley. And then there is plenty of anti-AEW or just those internet guys like myself that would question a company on their first 2 AEW champion being a former WWE superstar. Now I have a problem with that, because like what I was saying earlier, yes, they are former WWE superstars, but you can't be getting put on the title on Jungle Boy or Sammy Guevara, and you can't do it because they are not there yet. So from a company standpoint, that is very smart. I'm assuming the next title challenges is gonna be Jake Hager. And then the endpoint, the WrestleManias of AEW, is gonna be AEW all-grown stars like Kenny Omega or maybe Darby Allin. For fuck's sake, if they put it on Orange Cassidy, I'm gonna switch off. But to me, he's a mid-carder at best. I might be proven wrong someday. We'll play this. We'll play this segment once Orange Cassidy became the world champion. But all in all, I think it's smart business. I think Jake Hager is next in line to face to face Jon Moxley. But yeah, so that's your answer for it. There are well-established young stars that is not ready, And going back to arguments about all the WWE marks, trust me, I am a mark as well. I am a smart mark, which called Smark. But I questions the logic, the whys, and why are you doing this? And I don't question on why you're not putting the world title on Finn Balor. Why doesn't Finn Balor have a rematch after he wasn't really defeated for the Universal title? I don't do that. I understand from a company standpoint. I understand from a marketing standpoint. Like, I don't, like Vince have his own philosophy, but we Smark marks, we have our own philosophy as well. I understand that, but I don't question stupidity. So there you go. That's to answer some of your questions about why, and in general in life as well, which I recently encounter about some person questioning me why am I closing production due to this pandemic. And I let the PR of the production answer it instead of answering. It's just a stupid questions that it's not gonna end if you answer it. So might as well keep quiet about it. And that's another day for another story. I don't want to open another can of worms. But going back to Jon Moxley, right? I have to say that he's been good. But I'm about to pitch a clip by Booker T. He has a lot of things to say about Jon Moxley being the champion. Well, not really, but he has a lot of things to say about the whole situation. So check this out.
Smart marks who always crying and moaning and groaning about WWE guys and not giving the young guys a shot. What about those guys?
I think that you got to talk to them, because I agree with you. It sounds a little hypocritical. If you're not upset about, the young guys not getting a shot in AEW or in WWE, you got to be the same. You have to have the same mindset. You got to keep that same energy when you're talking about AEW, because love Chris Jericho, not the youngest guy in the world. You know what I mean? Jon Moxley spent a lot of time in WWE. He's still relatively young. Obviously, he's not over the hill by any means, but he's still a guy who spent a large part of his career in WWE and West, where he gained the most notoriety. And so I think there's definitely credence to that argument. I'm one of the people who it's like, you put the title on the guy who can put the most butts in the seats and does the best in the ring, whether that's Goldberg at 53 years old, whether that's The Undertaker at 54 years old, whether that's Chris Jericho at 52 or 3 years old, however old he is. Whoever is the biggest star and does the best work and can draw the most eyeballs, that's who you put the ball on. That's who you give the ball to, I should say.
Now, there's a lot wrong with that. First of all, you cannot put the same bracket as Goldberg, Undertaker, and Chris Jericho, even though they are considered like legends in the industry. Reason behind it is because, yes, you put butts in the seats, but you can put legends, but you can't put legends as champion. Like, why? And this is where, going back to my point, why would you put legends as champion? Legends is gonna draw money, right? Why not kill two birds with one stone? The stars of the show, of the regular viewers, supposed to be the champion, and then you put a legend in another card so you can draw more money. Like, why would you kill the title where you have, for example, Hollywood Hogan? He's a star. What if you put Hogan and Rock in a rematch, right? That's what. And then you can put another title match by having your own program with the champion, like Finn Balor or Nakamura as champion. So there you go. You draw money from the viewers, the regular viewers, and then you draw money with the Legends match itself. Is what they have been doing with the streak. Sometimes there's a WrestleMania year where the streak against the champion. That's a bad idea. To me, it's a bad idea. But in accordance to that, you have the match with the streak with The Undertaker and someone else, and then you have the title match with someone else. Does it make sense, right? So in accordance to that, I disagree for what he has to say. Whoever that was saying with Booker T. The difference between Goldberg, Undertaker / Chris Jericho is Jericho at that age can still go. He can still I don't know if they ever remember a match with him and Kenny Omega at NJPW, right? So look at that match, man. Go Google it up. It was one hell of a match. It looks like Rey Mysterio against Eddie Guerrero, if you ask me. But yeah, so butts, they put butts to the seats. I don't. Yes, you can put butts to the seat, but you can't. You can't by putting the title on Goldberg, by putting the title on Brock. That's just gonna show talents that you don't think they are the champion, and the mentality is very different for all these wrestlers, because once they think about that, and now there's AEW, there's another game in town, they are allowed to negotiate. So there you go. It's one of those things where I think that I've only been training. I've taken bumps before, but I'm pretty damn sure knows what goes around comes around in the wrestling industry, and I've been around for quite some time, and I grew closer to it with SPW, talking to some of the SPW talent, talking wrestling and whatnot. So I'm one of those, I'm one of those old school guys that, I born in the Attitude Era of wrestling. I was born in the Bret Hart era. So I believe I can call it my industry as well, even though I'm just a podcaster. But it makes sense from a marketing standpoint. Like what now they are doing, to me, WWE should be doing, like, who's going to fight Brock next? And then have the world title match with Drew McIntyre and somebody else. So that way you can be a semi-main event and a main event. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't get it why they have to put like a Legends in a title strap. I don't get that. I don't get that logic. I don't see that logic. And I don't see it as drawing money. All I see is smart fans like me criticizing them on a podcast. But anyway, going back to Jon Moxley, I think it's smart business. And I really, really hope they can do well. And the idea given that Jon Moxley is given this is mainly because to take a shot at WWE. And that's why they are winning ratings, I feel, from another WWE program. But in accordance to all this, we here Smark Podcast, we support everything that pro wrestling has given to us. WWE, AEW, and JPW, JPW, SPW, NXT, FCW. I don't know it's FCW, OVW. I've been watching a lot of OVW when Brock against Batista. I've just watched that match. But anyways, again, sidetracking this. So Jon Moxley as AEW champion, I'll give it 4 out of 5. I haven't seen what he has done yet. He's doing a program with Jake Hager, and I think he's next in line. I don't think they're gonna put the title on Jake Hager yet. That's just gonna piss off a lot of the AEW regulars. But all in all, I think Jon Moxley will make a good champion, and the war is on. Not literally like a WCW against WWE, but the war is on being the champion. So, Jon Moxley, World Heavyweight Champion, and Drew McIntyre as your top guy. So there you go. WWE against AEW. But anyways, I'm gonna be back again for the next segment. We're gonna talk about Singapore Pro Wrestling SPW event. No Guts, No Glory. It's a little bit too late to talk about this, but I wanna talk about some of the matches that I've seen live on No Guts, No Glory coming up next. Jebria. Hey guys, welcome back to part number 5 of the Smark podcast, and I want to cover in this segment about Singapore Pro Wrestling, SPW. And first and foremost, I love SPW. I've been from day one. SPW is just that because of outside commitments, I have not been able to catch them up in recent months. But I did went for the February 21st at the Pavilion Far East Square. No Guts, No Glory pay-per-view for SPW. It's a big event for them. It's SPW, they always have this big event, and they have a special guest, and their special guest for this one is Joshi Wrestling's own Miko Satomura. If you're not familiar with that, she actually participated in the Mae Young Classics back in 2018. Very unique style of wrestling, very big muscular woman, and so she was in the main event of SPW No Guts No Glory. Another one of the marquee matches. Shaukat from Malaysia Pro Wrestling. Apparently, he has Andrew Tang's world title, Southeast Asian Championship with him. So another star-studded wrestling spectacle features my man, the Butcher Man. I call him my man because I chatted with him a lot on Instagram, text messaging me a lot, mainly talking about wrestling. He takes on Destroyer Dharma for the Singapore Heavyweight Championship, and I think it's safe to say that we here at Mic Check Production. I was about to say Mic Check Pro Wrestling. No, we here at Mic Check Production. We about to do a program for both of them. It didn't quite materialize, but I still hold him as one of the best. I've seen his work, especially when the 6-man tag alongside with Kenny Omega. With Andrew Statement. I've seen his work. All in all, I would give No Guts No Glory 4.8 out of 5. The reason I didn't give 5 is because there's two things wrong with No Guts No Glory, and I'll let you in more on that. First of all, I want to congratulate Selena. Her work looks very, very good. In the women's match, sorry, not the women's match. Sorry, in the tag team match that they featured. Don't have any opinion on the kiss. I don't have any opinion on that, but I kind of enjoy Social Misfits as well. I think they blend in together. I got to find out that is Selena. Okay, I'm not too sure whether I wanna put this out there, but I got to find out there's an ongoing storyline. I assume, sorry, not get to find out. I assume there's a storyline within Selena, and when you go to a wrestling event, and at the end of the event, you say who stood out for you in a memory. I think Selena, Colonizer, Andrew, of course, he's great. He's always great. And one guy I would like to point out is that, okay, the disappointment that in this guy is because I have to watch it on video because I miss the match. We were in the middle of shooting a reality show. So I missed Traxxas against Aiden Rags. And I'm disappointed in myself, not them. I'm disappointed in myself for not watching that live. But Aman and Ryan, I went with them, and they get to watch. Oh wait, me and Ryan missed it because we are shooting a scene outside of the pavilion. So Aman was watching the match. So I get to watch it on videos. A lot of good spots. Especially Traxxas, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. His timing is good. He had a good look, kind of like Finn Balor kind of guy, and I like him. I like him a lot. So yeah, that's the only negative. And another negative of this event I would like to cover, but I'll get you in more later on that. I also enjoy. Let me see here. I've written this down somewhere. Wait, let me see. Besides the obvious, the SG title between Butcherman and Destroyer Dharma, I also enjoys the work of Colonizer. And Luna Inez, I can see that she's new. I'm not too sure what's her story with Alexis Lee, because Alexis Lee joined in a triple threat match after that. But the bomb that she takes as Colonizer, especially the smack of, I think she smacked a tray at the side of Colonizer's head, looks really, really painful, I have to say. But to me, SPW has a great heel in two heels. I'm not gonna count Andrew in it because I think his work is great. All right, but besides Andrew, the biggest heel in SPW is Colonizer and Prince Khalid. I love him. Prince Khalid, it's an easy, he knows how to get hit so easy. And Prince Khalid, if you for some reason, if you are listening to this, you did such a wonderful job that it makes me want to punch you in the face. I'm not gonna do that, but a heel, that's what it's doing, you make the crowd. And so as Colonizer, by the way, I told her, I DM her straight, you're the biggest heel in the company, and I love the Roti Prata bit. I love it. This guy, she's great. But anyways, yeah, and the Butcherman, let's review that match. The bomb that Destroyer Dharma take on that line-up chair, that shit looks good. It looks real. I'm not too sure whether I think Dharma is alright because he seems to be texting. And there's another bomb that he took, not on the steel chairs, but on the stool chairs at the crowd. So yeah, but apparently Destroyer Dharma was undefeated. That's why he gets a title shot. But yeah, it's a waste that we don't have. Mike Chat Production did not do anything with them, but I love that segment. I love that interaction between the Butcherman and the crowd. He screamed out "Nabe Chibai," and then I'm not gonna cover the one that he kissed his hand and stuck it the nose of the Butcherman due to all this pandemic. At the time, it wasn't so serious. So yeah, so let's just skip that. All right. Another match I enjoy is, of course, the main event. Okay, I'm not gonna cover that because it's so obvious that it's great with the two women. It's great. But let's talk about the negativity of that event. Not only one part of it is that I miss the number one contenders match between Aiden Rex and Traxxas. The other thing is, and I've spoken to some of these SPW wrestlers, I'm a bit of an old school guy, and I think that for every wrestling event, title matches should go on last. The main event, even if the stars is bigger, because no stars is bigger than the company itself. All right, to me, it's that. Not even, I think it's WrestleMania 26. Undertaker and Shawn Michaels closes the show. To me, main event should be a title match, all in all. I don't care if you're Shawn Michaels or Undertaker, but I understand for that reason and that reason only, I could understand why they closed the show on HBK, because it's a retirement match, if I'm not mistaken. Undertaker retired, Shawn Michaels, and that's about it. But in this event, SPW event, I still think that what do you call it? the SPW No Guts, No Glory event, I still think the Statement and Shaukat could have been the last match on the card. I'm just an old school guy. I love seeing title matches at last. And I think the women's match, despite the names, Miko Satomura from Joshi Wrestling, despite her being the headliner, I'm just an old school guy. But hey, I can totally understand because she's like the poster of the pay-per-view, and I think they invest a lot in her. Not a big problem. So, but I still feel I'm going back to what I said earlier. I'm an old school guy. I love seeing title matches as the main event. Okay, maybe when it is the level of some international wrestlers and whatnots, maybe you can bring this point up to them and ask why is the Statement and Shaukat, which is the biggest title, the Southeast Asian Championship, is, because the thing is, if it were me booking that event, I would have put either that or the no disqualification match for the SG title on last, because here's what I was there. Here's the problem though, when it goes off with Andrew Statement and Shaukat for the title, some of us thought it was over. Like, we totally forgot about the main event. So we actually think, like me and Aman, right? We actually think that, hey, I think that's it. But there's another match. And I think because of Andrew's character, he likes to interact with the crowd. And I think that is perfectly matched for last. Like, you have the women's match for wrestling perspective, and then you have the Statement who can rile up any crowd he wants. So, just a little bit of negativity. But that's why I give it 4.8 out of 5, which is great, actually. I enjoy No Guts, No Glory. I assume SPW is not going on with all this pandemic. So I'll be looking forward to it. I have it on notifications. And you know what though? Since we're gonna do this podcast on a weekly basis again, comment down below on what you think of SPW event. Those of you who went for the big event, and I'll try to get some interviews with some of these wrestlers and their thoughts on what's going on with the pandemic. What have they been going on, or maybe a phone interview with them. I'm not too sure how I am going to do it, but definitely for sure we're gonna talk more wrestling next week. We're gonna talk about, as usual, AEW and some documentaries that I'm gonna watch. Cannot wait for Vice TV's next episode, The Dark Side of the Ring, that will feature Jimmy Snuka's murder case. I'm not too sure how am I going to cover it. But if, let's say, we did not cover it, so next week we're going to talk about wrestling and all wrestling only. So there you go. It's me, Hanafi, signing off with you. I hope you guys enjoy the week of wrestling. And here it is, signing off, the Smark podcast with me, Hanafi. So goodbye.